Liberal Viewer present.
So last week, when President George W. Bush and Barack Obama both agreed on unconstitutional amendments to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, it only added insult to injury to have to hear it reported on Fox News like this.
Senator Barack Obama voted for the surveillance bill despite his opposition to it in the past, and today's vote appears to be the latest move that has many questioning his commitment to his liberal principles.
But while I disagree with Obama's decision, calling it an abandonment of principle may have more to do with the Fox News caricature of Obama as a leftist than with the core change in Obama, as Obama himself explained the previous week when talking about the FISA bill here.
What happens is I get tagged as being on the left, and when I simply describe what have been my positions consistently, then suddenly people act surprised. But there hasn't been substantial shifts there. Let's take one example, and that's the FISA bill. I have consistently said that the underlying program was one that was necessary and important. I also felt consistently that we have to have some oversight and that the FISA court has to be involved in it. The compromise that came out of the House was not the compromise necessarily that I would have designed, but it met my basic criteria that the FISA court was going to be involved exclusively in overseeing that program. And so I made a judgment that at this point it was important for us to go ahead and get that program in place.
And while I disagree with Obama's judgment in voting for this law, I can't say I find his vote surprising or a fundamental shift from the Obama I decided to support. In fact, Obama's justification for this FISA vote sounds a lot like the justification for his February 2006 vote for the Patriot Act reauthorization, when he also talked about an imperfect compromise, and though I disagreed with that vote too, at least, unlike McCain, the concerns Obama expressed then and now are the right concerns. Honestly, I don't expect a viable candidate to always forgo political pragmatism to take an unpopular position that best protects civil liberties. That's why, in addition to supporting Obama as the best candidate for president, I also give time, money, and effort supporting the nonpartisan American Civil Liberties Union that fights to protect constitutional principles whatever the polls say and whoever is in office, as ACLU Legislative Counsel Michelle Richardson explained when asked about Obama's support of the FISA amendments on C-SPAN's June 21st Washington Journal here.
We don't believe the executive should have this power, be it George Bush, John McCain, or Barack Obama. It fundamentally shifts the balance of power. It completely frustrates all the laws that we currently have. And regardless of who the next president is, these laws should be on the book. They shouldn't just be subject to the whim of a president.
And that's because whoever is president and whatever laws the Congress passes, the government cannot violate the Fourth Amendment and the right to privacy. But that's exactly what these FISA amendments do, as Michelle Richardson later explained in this clip.
It grabs everything and it asks questions later. The bill is so broad that it allows the government to sit on the telecommunication infrastructure in this country and collect every communication coming into and out of the United States without any finding of wrongdoing, and actually without any connection to terrorism. Traditionally, the courts would require that the government come in and present to them the reasons why a specific individual should be tapped or searched, and that is completely missing from the review here. You have a year-long program that the court will oversee generally, and we'll look at the procedures. It won't know who's being tapped. It won't know what companies are participating. It won't know which facilities the government is tapping into. And the review is not what courts have ever really done in wiretapping review in the past.
So with the Congress granting the executive such unprecedented authority to listen in on international communications without permission from a judge, filing a lawsuit on behalf of those Americans most affected is the next logical step, as Jamil Jaffer, director of the ACLU's National Security Project, explained here.
The lawsuit involves a challenge by a coalition of organizations, human rights organizations, reporters, media organizations, humanitarian organizations, legal organizations, all of which share one thing in common, which is that they value the confidentiality of their international communications.
You can find the rest of that video and more information about the ACLU lawsuit at aclu.org/FAA. But I want to know what you think about the FISA Amendments Act. Do you think that just by claiming they are not targeting Americans, U.S. government officials should be able to gather up all communications going into and out of the United States without any showing of wrongdoing and with court review only of the general program and not the specific wiretaps? And on the question of Barack Obama's shift in voting for the FISA amendments, do you agree with me that despite his penchant for resolving some political conflicts with pragmatic centrist compromises, Barack Obama is still the best candidate with a real chance to be elected President of the United States this year? YouTube, you decide.